You can get rid of all the motorcycles in the world, and it's going to make very little gains in terms of air quality because not many people ride. So today is a rant. It's a rant about what's causing motorcycles to get extinct, to be terminated, to be phased out. And this isn't just about the Euro emissions laws. There are a lot of reasons. There are a lot of people to blame to why motorcycles are gonna be extinct. Motorcycling, I think, is heading towards extinction, right? The main indicator is manufacturers just cutting off Supersport bikes. The R6 a few years ago, the CBR 600RR iconic bike, is coming back. That's making a comeback, which is a relief, which is promising. Maybe there's hope. Gixxer 600 not developing it. Now most recently, and I did not see this one coming. I couldn't imagine this happening. But the R1 has stopped sales in Europe, and since they've stopped in Europe, they're probably going to stop in other regions as well. And the main reason is the Euro 5 Plus emission laws. They don't want to make Euro 5 Plus, so they're just going to not develop it. Maybe they're going to bring it back later, I don't know, I hope so. But the R1 is an iconic bike. It's not just these bikes that are stopping. This is causing motorcycling to be phased out. When you get rid of the sports bikes, you are terminating motorcycle enthusiasm. The Supersport bike is why most people, from my generation anyways, why most people got into motorcycling in the first place. You know, it was either that Gixxer 600 or the R6 or the Panigale, you know, and the people saw that and they're like, no one saw some electric bike or some funny, awkward, commuting, naked bike and said, I want to get on that. When you get rid of sport bikes, you won't get new riders. Other bikes don't have as much appeal to new riders. When you get rid of new riders, you get a smaller pool. The number of riders out there shrinks, which means there's a smaller market. It has a chain effect, less incentives to manufacturing to put money into it, and this could lead to the extinction of motorcycling. And people don't realize, like, changing small factors like these, like getting rid of beautiful bikes, have this long-term effect. People don't realize it. Like, people underestimate these small factors that could lead to a different world. And that's why our world's a bit in crisis with our young people. Young people seem to have a lot of anxiety. They're not happy, they're bored. The effect of creating something, like, look at the GoPro. Do you know why the GoPro was invented? It was because a surfer, I forget the name, it was a surfer who was not happy with the products out there. He wanted to film himself while him and his friends while they were surfing, and back in the mid 2000s, and there was nothing suitable, so they created the GoPro, and the GoPro in turn created YouTube. I don't think YouTube would be as big as it is if it wasn't for GoPros. I mean, there's a lot of copycats, but it was the inception of the idea. You know, there was, you know, action and adventure. That's what makes up a lot of YouTube videos over the years, all the action and adventure. So the GoPro made YouTube. We wouldn't have YouTube as we know it if it wasn't for the GoPro, and we won't have motorcycling if it wasn't for the sports bikes. If sports bikes didn't exist, I don't know if I'd be riding right now. The other thing that ticks me off is the poor excuses that manufacturers are making for dropping these models. They're saying people aren't buying Supersport bikes anymore. There's not enough, you know, sales. If that was true, why are they making Supersport shaped bikes with non-Supersport engines? You know, like the R7, the GSX 8R, the new up and coming R9. The main appeal of a Supersport bike, the main appeal, if you didn't realize, is the high revving short stroke engine. No one wants to ride a Supersport bike that sounds like a ride-on mower. Secondly, the manufacturers are also to blame. Supersports are dying because manufacturers dug their own grave. They over-indexed Supersport bikes to be just for the track. They are just, refined, overly refined for the tracks. That's why I don't buy the 2014 onward Supersport bikes. I like the older ones. In the past decade, they dismissed the people who wanted Supersport bikes to ride on the street. That's what it was about back in 2000s, early 2010, 11, 12, 13. Now, to be fair about the emissions, it is a noble cause. I'm not against, but I just want to clarify these Euro standards primarily are about pollution and not like CO2 greenhouse. I know the new ones are starting to include it, but the main purpose of these Euro emissions are like for toxic, like carbon monoxide, nitrous oxide type, NOx type particulates, especially like diesel, the smoke that you see. It's about pollution. But a lot of people are getting confused when they're talking about this. They're bundling like the CO2 global warming thing, which isn't really what Euro emissions are about. It's more about pollution and harmful emissions. And I know that a motorcycle can produce more than a car, more harmful emissions than a car. And maybe emissions were overlooked in motorcycles for a lot of years. So I'm not against that sort of thing. It's good to sort of push manufacturers to want to make cleaner motorcycles so they don't get away with not improving emissions. But the point that is overlooked is that motorcycling is so small. It's just a pushover. It's a pushover, not in a physical sense, but in the sense of existence. If an emission law pushes bike models into non-existence, which it has done for a number of bikes, no one cares. Like who cares? Who cares? No one cares that they're not making the R1 anymore, or they don't want to sell it anymore, or the R6. No one cares. A very, very small percentage of people care. But as a globally, no one cares. It's a lot of destruction for very little gain. Overall, not many people ride motorcycles. I think in the US, like 3% of registered vehicles are motorcycles. You can get rid of all the motorcycles in the world and it's going to make very little gains in terms of air quality because not many people ride. It's very small. You can put more strict emissions on vehicles, like cars, but that won't destroy, that won't ruin car models. That car models won't be dropped because the market is so big. Manufacturers will put the money in, they'll put the R&D in, they'll make it better because it's such a massive market. You can't say the same for motorcycling though. They'll just ditch it. It's like the low-hanging fruit, and no one cares if it just gets superseded. No one cares if it just gets phased out. The people that are enforcing these standards, I think, need to consider balancing and, improving motorcycles, but not so much that it just eradicates them. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I'll end with a Bible verse, as I usually do. And that's in Matthew 7 verse 1. And it says, "Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you too will be judged. The measure that you used for others will be used against you. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye, and you pay no attention to the plank in your own eye?" I think that's just a lesson that is part of a bigger picture, that we need to just take more care of each other as humanity. That's something that I always want to push, like on this channel, is not just having like this religious approach, but I think we can use belief in God for humanity, for an improvement in humanity. So that's what it's all about. That's what my channel's about. When I give these Bible verses, that's kind of what it's about. It's just trying to be, contribute to humanity. Just try and make this world better. So anyway, that's all I've got. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please add a comment. That helps this video a lot. If you like my content in general, please subscribe. And take it easy and ride safe.